Hi guys, so today we are talking all about dressing for your hourglass and some other things that you can consider when you are dressing for your body type in a way that is really flattering to the native lines of your body. Body geometry is based on the bone structure of your body because it's the bone structure that's going to determine how your physique lays on your body and ultimately how your clothing falls on your body. So when you're thinking about dressing for your hourglass, another thing, or for your pear shape or apple shape or anything else for that matter, another thing to consider as a complement to that is thinking about your bone structure and the lines of your silhouette. So there are 5 main bone structures. Here I'm only going to discuss 3 just for the sake of time. And I'm going to show some examples and sketches of how each bone structure would look, as well as some outfit examples. If you are still confused about your bone structure type, then I do offer consults through my website, and I will leave a link to those down below. So let's get right into it. So you can see here, this is our first bone structure type, and she is an hourglass shape, although this bone structure type can be any shape, apple, pear, and they can be any weight. This is all about bone structure, but I've drawn these sketches in an hourglass shape to show how the bone structure can really affect what you look like, even though all 3 of these sketches will be hourglass shapes. So this is our first lady. She is a rounded type, and you can see she has short and round bones. She doesn't really have very angular features either to her facial bone structure or otherwise, and her shoulders are sloped. Everything about her is pretty much rounded and soft in terms of her bone structure, not necessarily in terms of her figure. We're just talking about the bone structure. Our next lady has angular features, and she also has long lines to her bone structure. And on top of that bone structure, she has an hourglass. So this lady here, she has a rounded bone structure, and then on top of that, she has an hourglass shape. This lady here has a sharpened bone structure, and on top of that she has an hourglass shape, and you can see how that really changes the silhouette even before I start to draw any sort of outfits on these ladies or anything like that. And then our third lady is a mixed type, so she has elements of both rounded and sharpened in this case. So you can see she has some of those shorter lines. For example, her arms are short, she looks short, her vertical line is short, but on the other hand, you know, she has those sharper shoulders, she has some longer lines to her hands and feet, and she has some angular bone structure to her facial bones as well. So you can see she has a mixture of opposites in her bone structure. That's why she's mixed. But at the same time, she is also hourglass. So how is this going to affect how these 3 ladies dress for their hourglass? Let's just compare them really quickly side by side to really get a sense of what's going on here. So you can see that on the far right, we have sharpened, on the far left, we have rounded, and in between we have mixed. And mixed can have any kind of mixture. You know, maybe the shoulders are sloped for someone else who's mixed, but this lady happens to have sharp shoulders. I just drew her that way. You know, so it can be very different where you get your sharpness or length and where you get your shortness and roundedness if you're mixed. But sharpened is going to have primarily sharp bones and long bones and pretty narrow bones, and rounded is going to have pretty short bones and pretty rounded angles. So that's how you're going to know if you are, you know, generally in the vicinity of these types. And of course, these are just guidelines, right? These are not set in stone types, and there are continuums and spectrums of every single type, and they do morph into each other. You know, you can be in between rounded and mixed, you could be in between mixed and sharpened, and things like that. So let's check out a rounded outfit example. When mixed wears rounded, you know, and this is not so much about the individual outfits. You might feel like you like some outfits more or you don't like other outfits. Try to focus on how the lines look on the person, right? And the effects that the lines have on the overall look of the person. When you're wearing an outfit, you know, it is all about how you look, not how the outfit looks. So in any case, you can see that this lady here, when she wears rounded type lines, she's mixed, she looks kind of like she is dressing up, right? She looks kind of like a little tiny bit childlike, and oftentimes mixed will have the complaint that they look childlike when they don't wear their own lines. She certainly doesn't look bad, and there's nothing wrong with looking childlike. In fact, you can actually do this in an intentional way, and it's all about intention, right? If you intend to look a little bit innocent, but then, you know, your outfit is a little more womanly or something, then that can be a certain look. In fact, Ariana Grande does this look. But if it's unintentional, and Ariana Grande is mixed, you know, if it's unintentional, it might look a little bit awkward, or it might look like you are trying to dress up, you know, and that can sometimes be frustrating for mixed, because they're like, well, I don't want to look like childlike. I want to look, you know, professional, or more like an adult or something like that. So that is a complaint of mixed. It's not always a complaint of mixed, okay, but that is something that happens when they don't wear their own lines. It's not something that happens when they do wear their own lines. Okay, we've chatted enough about that. Let's move on to Sharpened wearing rounded. So Sharpened wears rounded, and of course you can see this is something that accentuates the hourglass shape of, you know, the previous lady as well as this lady. But you can see that the lines somehow look a little bit small and a little bit too short on Sharpened. It's not so much that Sharpened, you know, when she's wearing this, she has that it's actually not her size. It's not that. I mean, she would buy these pants and she would buy this shirt and they would be her size, and she'd put them on and, you know, they would fit perfectly and everything would be fine. But when she puts the look together, the lines themselves are a little bit too small for her. So it looks a little bit separate from her. It doesn't look intentional. And finally, when rounded wears rounded, it looks just right. You know, it doesn't look like the outfit is wearing her or that she's wearing the outfit. It just looks like a complete look, right? It just looks like this is what she looks like. And that's sort of the effect of wearing your own lines. And it's important to remember that, you know, in this look, all three of these ladies are dressing quote unquote for their hourglass, right? They are accentuating their waist, and basically that's the main tip for an hourglass shape. So let's compare all three side by side to really get a sense of, you know, what we have here. So you can see that rounded, those are her lines and they are native to her. So it looks pretty much, you know, really we're kind of looking at her face, right? When we look at that image, we look at her face. And if you guys are familiar with any of my color analysis videos, you know that that's what I always say when you are trying to see if a color is really something that is native to you, that's going to amplify your beauty and let you shine, right? You can really look at if you are looking at the color or if you're looking at your face, and also of course if it complements you. And in the same way here, you can see that with rounded on the far left, you know, whether or not you like the outfit, right? It just looks right on her. It doesn't look any particular way, and you're not thinking about why is she wearing that? Ooh, is she wearing an outfit today? You know, a lot of people get comments on their outfits, right? They're like, ooh, you know, you're dressed up today. She might not get that comment, or she would be less likely to get that comment than the other two ladies, because it just looks right on her, right? It doesn't really look like she's trying to do something different, right? It just looks native to her. On mixed, it looks like she is trying to dress up, and on sharpened, it looks a little bit separate from her, and it doesn't look intentional. I would say on sharpened, you know, because sharpened is so far from the rounded type, on sharpened, it looks the most separate and it looks the least intentional. So let's take a look at how mixed and sharpened can dress both for their hourglasses as well as for their bone structure and the lines of their body. So let's take a look at mixed first. So here you can see when mixed wears mixed, you know, she is still dressing for her hourglass, and she could also wear mixed lines and dress for her pear shape or her apple shape or her vertical proportions or any other things. But the mixed lines are going to be things that are quite fitted. We're going to have high necklines, and we're going to have some color blocking and some pretty medium weight fabrics, and some geometrics work pretty well for mixed too, especially small geometrics, contrasting patterns, and in this case a pixie cut looks pretty nice on mixed as well. So you can see that she is still wearing something that really accentuates her hourglass shape, but in this case she simply looks like she is pretty much at home in that outfit, in those lines. She doesn't look like she is dressing up. She doesn't look like she's dressing down. She simply looks just right. And we're not really thinking about, oh, wow, well, you know, you're dressed up today, right? It's more just, this is what she looks like. She looks really chic. She looks really sophisticated. And importantly, you know, she doesn't look like a child in her own lines. She looks just right. And, you know, I traced these. So I drew these, right? And I traced them, okay? So this is the same proportions, the same person and everything. And I tried to, it's a trace, so it's exactly the same body. It's exactly the same, you know, pose that she has, as you can see. So there's no sort of magic going on here. It's really just the lines, and the lines really make her look a lot more put together in this case than she looked in the rounded lines. You can see in the rounded lines, you might say to yourself, well, she looks fine here. If you see this on its own, you might say, well, she looks completely fine. And I completely agree. She does look fine. But at the same time, you can really see a difference of, you know, how good she really could look in her own lines. So, you know, comparing this to this is really no comparison at all. This looks much more harmonious with her lines overall, and she still gets to accentuate her hourglass. So next up we have Sharpened. So this is sort of the before of Sharpened. You know, if Sharpened doesn't know their own lines, their own body type, and doesn't really know how to dress for their hourglass within their own lines. So this is the effect that we get. It looks a little bit separate. And now if Sharpened wears her own lines and at the same time dresses for her hourglass, we have something like this. And I think this looks so much better. I mean, this looks like a different person really, because it looks so put together. It looks so chic, and I really like this look overall for a really sort of basic staple look for a Sharpened type who has an hourglass shape. You know, why does this look so much better and so much more harmonious than this? And it's really about the bone structure, because before, you know, when we would look at, you know, three ladies who look like this, and we only use the apple, pear, what is it, ruler, rectangle, and hourglass, you know, that system, that's a good system, and certainly it has its value to add. And I do think that, you know, there are a lot of different things that you can use to dress for your own unique body type. But at the same time, before we had bone structure analysis, we really couldn't understand. We knew that these three ladies looked different, but we couldn't really put our finger on what it is that really makes them look inherently different from each other. And it's really about the bone structures. So finally, let's compare these three ladies dressing for their hourglass together. So you can see how different the lines are, and each one of them is dressing for her hourglass shape. And of course, you know, these outfits, you don't have to wear these exact outfits or something to dress for your lines. These are simply examples that I came up with. Some of you guys might like one outfit better, another outfit better, but at the same time, all three ladies look like they are wearing their own native lines. You know, when we look at them, we look at each one, we just see them as a whole. We don't see that this person is wearing an outfit. So that's the effect that you are looking for when you're looking to find your own lines, is it just looks native to you. It just looks right. Now, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with, quote, you know, wearing an outfit. No matter if you end up wearing your own lines or using other lines as a juxtaposition to create a certain look, right? It's all about knowing where you are starting and really intentionally building a look. You know, what kind of effect do these lines have on your bone structure? And that's really what body geometry is all about. It's not that the only way to look good is to wear your own lines, not at all, but it is really helpful to know where you're starting out so that you can intentionally sort of create different looks, create different effects with the clothes that you are wearing. So that is it, you guys. I hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. And I will leave a link down below to Miriam Style Club, where we have exclusive content and we have Q&As, and I might also share some more of my drawings there of how the other types look in the other types outfits, because I already have those drawings, but the video just got way too long as usual, so I might post sort of an extension of this to Club. So if you guys enjoyed this, then you can check out Club and take a look at the exclusive content I'll leave a link to my consults, and also leave me a comment. And if you made it to the end of this video, I know it wasn't a super long video, but still, please let me know what your favorite tree is. My favorite tree is a birch tree, and I really just think they're so beautiful. And yeah. So yeah, that's it, and I will talk to you guys next time. Okay,